What if the version of you that you've been running from is actually the real you? Not the version that smiles when it's expected, stays quiet to avoid conflict, and pretends everything is under control. Not the version that has learned to be acceptable, predictable, and safe, but the one you buried. The one you were told was too much, too emotional, too intense, too ambitious, too different. The version of you that felt dangerous to show. Because somewhere along the way, you learned that being fully yourself came with a cost: rejection, judgment, isolation. So you adapted. You built a version of yourself that could survive. According to Carl Jung, this is where the real problem begins. Not when you face pain, but when you split yourself to avoid it. From a very young age, you were trained to become someone. Not who you are, but who you were supposed to be. You were rewarded for being good, punished for being difficult, praised for being quiet, and corrected for being too expressive. Slowly, without even realizing it, you started shaping yourself around expectations. You learned to filter your thoughts, hide your emotions, and suppress your instincts. And over time, that survival strategy turned into your identity. Jung called this the persona, the mask you wear to function in the world. At first, it protects you. It helps you fit in. It keeps you safe. But the longer you wear it, the more dangerous it becomes. Because eventually, you forget it's a mask. You start believing that this limited version of yourself is who you truly are, and everything that doesn't fit that image gets pushed away. Your anger, your desires, your ambition, your raw emotions, all of it gets buried. But here's the truth: what you bury doesn't disappear. It waits. Jung called this hidden part of you the shadow. Not just your darkness, but everything you were taught to reject. Your power, your voice, your creativity, your intensity. All the parts that didn't fit the version of you the world accepted. And the more you ignore it, the more control it gains over your life. It shows up in ways you don't expect, in self-doubt that won't go away, in patterns you keep repeating, in sudden anger, anxiety, or emptiness that you can't explain. You think you're in control, but a part of you is running in the background. And this is where most people make a mistake. They try to fix themselves. They try to become better, calmer, more disciplined, more perfect. But Jung believed the opposite. You don't become whole by removing parts of yourself. You become whole by integrating them, by facing what you've been avoiding. But that's where fear shows up. Because if you truly face yourself, everything changes. There's a fear that if you accept your darker side, you'll become someone bad, that your anger will consume you, your ambition will make you selfish, your desires will make you lose control. But the truth is, what you suppress doesn't disappear. It becomes dangerous precisely because it's unconscious. When you bring it into awareness, it becomes something you can understand, control, and use. Then there's a deeper fear, the fear of rejection. Because the moment you stop performing, not everyone will stay. Some people only accept the version of you that is convenient for them, the quiet version, the agreeable version, the predictable version. And when you start becoming real, you risk losing that approval. But here's the reality most people avoid. You are already being rejected, just not by others, by yourself. Every time you silence your truth, every time you hide your real thoughts, every time you act against your instincts, you abandon who you really are. And maybe the biggest fear of all is that you don't know who you are without the mask, because you've spent so much time being what others expected that removing that identity feels like losing yourself completely. But Jung saw this differently. He believed this is not destruction, it's transformation. The moment your false identity starts breaking down is the moment your real self begins to emerge. He called this process individuation, becoming who you actually are, not the version shaped by society, but the one that exists underneath it all. And it doesn't happen in comfort, it happens in confrontation, in moments where you stop running from yourself and finally turn around to face what you've been avoiding.
This process is not easy. It's uncomfortable. It's messy. It forces you to question everything you thought you knew about yourself. You begin to notice where you've been fake, where you've been silent, where you've been living a life that doesn't fully belong to you. And slowly, something shifts. You start speaking more honestly. You stop saying yes when you mean no. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. And this is where something deeper begins to happen. You start reclaiming energy. Energy that was once used to hide, to perform, to maintain an image. That energy comes back to you. And when it does, you feel it. You feel more alive, more intense, more present. Your thoughts become clearer. Your decisions become sharper. You stop second-guessing yourself constantly because for the first time, you're not acting. You're responding from something real. And people will notice. Some will say you've changed. Some will say you've become difficult, different, intense. But what they're really seeing is that you've stopped pretending. You're no longer easy to control, easy to predict, or easy to define. And that makes people uncomfortable because your authenticity forces them to question their own masks. But this is the price of becoming real.
Because the truth is, becoming your real self doesn't make you more accepted. It makes you more aligned. And alignment is more powerful than approval. When you are aligned, your actions, your thoughts, and your identity move in the same direction. There is no internal conflict, no constant doubt, no hidden resistance, just clarity. And from that clarity comes power. Not loud, aggressive power, but quiet, grounded power. The kind that doesn't need validation, the kind that doesn't break under pressure, the kind that knows exactly who it is. And that's something most people never reach, because they spend their entire lives avoiding themselves, running from discomfort, hiding from truth, choosing safety over authenticity. But you don't have to, because in the end, the person you're afraid to be is not your enemy. That's the person who has been waiting for you this whole time. And the moment you stop running from that version is the moment your life actually begins.